Raheem was saying that y'all are going to do like a walkthrough today that's focused more on player performance.
Yep.
You like that? How do you feel about that?
It was cool. I think it was a good time before we're going into week 10 now, right? And so a lot of football being played so far. We still haven't had a bye week, so we're just giving the guys an extra day and to get a little extra recovery while we still get our work in. So I think it'll be good, pay good dividends for us. We got a physical rest of the week coming up, but the extra day of recovery is probably good for everybody.
Is that the first time on a Wednesday that you haven't practiced? Like a full practice in your NFL career?
Oh, no, not at all. It's not uncommon as the season go on for teams. You know, sometimes they switch Wednesday practice to walkthroughs or just slow the tempo down a little bit. So definitely not the first time. I'm sure a lot of teams around the league, you know, everybody go at their own pace for certain things, but it's definitely not uncommon.
When was the first time, do you remember?
That had a Wednesday walkthrough?
Yeah.
I mean, it happens every year. You know, I mean, it's, like I said, kind of in the latter part of the season, coaches like to keep the guys fresh, you know, and so it can come at any time, but it's usually a coach's decision.
So it's not something that you've noticed like later on in your career is like maybe the science has caught up with things?
That can definitely be something about it. You know, I definitely
the first time in your career that you remember.
I mean, I feel like it's happened for me even like my rookie year. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I understand what you're saying. But I feel like every season I've had a day or a week where we took a Wednesday walkthrough. Whether you're short on guys, whether it's just bruises or whatever, that's given an extra day, or whether it's just a extra mental day and maybe a longer day with just shorter reps. So different varieties of it, but it's my whole career. It's not unfamiliar to me.
Grady, I know you exited the game for a little bit. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Doing what I need to do to be healthy, and I'm excited to get back on the field, and definitely grateful, to have a relationship with the staff here that I have, where we can have open communication about what I'm feeling and how I'm feeling, and them having my best interest at the end of the day, because there's been a lot of times they have to save me from myself, and it's always just me, just always want to push, go through, fight hard, push through, and looking at the big picture versus short term. I think we made the right decision, because we didn't know what we was dealing with during the game. But I'm excited to be able to be back in position to go compete this Sunday.
So more precautionary in that effort to keep.
Yeah, I for sure. I definitely would say more precautionary, because even when I got hurt, it wasn't a one-off thing. It happened kind of early in the game, kept going. So I knew I wasn't detrimentally, hurt, but it was something wasn't right, and definitely wanted to get a better look at it, and that's what we did, and we're excited to be in this position where we're getting ready for Sunday.
I know that we've talked ad nauseum about the efforts to get after the quarterback. You guys clearly took a step in the right direction in that on Sunday, but I know you're going to say there's more to go get.
Oh, yeah.
But when you go watch the tape on Sunday, what was encouraging about
it? I think the effort, the urgency, the intent to try to attack the quarterback, even if we didn't have perfect rush lanes, the guys were rushing hard, rushing together for the most part, and that was definitely the promising thing about it. And to be able to get there and finish, there were some things where we feel like we definitely could have had more sacks or more pressures on the quarterback, and that's things we're going to grow with. But we did move in the right direction, for weeks, not registering sacks, stuff like that. It's not a stat that you want to be a part of. So to be able to make improvement, we happy about that. But we, like I said, I think we can continue to do better, and we just got to have the right intent, right mindset, and we shouldn't have to, go a streak to really pound on the emphasis to we got to get going. It should be our mindset, the way we go about our business, and I think just to be able to feel it, get it back going, get confidence is back up, we can continue to make us have success.
Grady, just to clarify, do you expect to be playing on Sunday?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No limitation and everything? Okay.
Yeah.
Grady, Caden kept using the word special after the game on Sunday. I know you've obviously been on a ton of teams over the course of your career. Does this team feel special?
No, without a doubt. That's my little line, without a doubt. I get teased. I get teased. I get teased at home about that. That's funny. But yes, I definitely feel like this is a special team. And I think it's so much more than just what's on the surface. I think there's, GM relationships between guys, player to player, coach to coach. And the most important thing, we got really, really good players on this team. And the only thing that's held us back this whole season is our execution. We was never outmatched. We never felt like we was out of any fight. And you ask anybody in that locker room, we feel like we could have won every game we've played so far. and that's the encouraging part. And the also encouraging, we feel like we still getting better every week. So I think he was dead on saying it's a special team, and we definitely don't want to let this moment in time slip without putting our best foot forward.
How does playing in the division feel different this year compared to other years, just at where you guys are?
I wouldn't say different because, in this division, however the records are, however it's going, it's always going to be a tough game, always going to be a tough match. As you can see with the Saints and Panthers, last week, even though the team's struggling, there was a hard-fought game the whole way. You know what I'm saying? Anytime we play each other, us the Bucks, us Panthers, however it go, it can go either way. So you got to always give these games the due respect, because every team going to put their best foot forward. So I wouldn't say it'd be much different as far as the competitive level. And I think it's always going to be that way in the NFC South.
A bit of our teams that have had interim head coaches. So just being from that other side and now facing a Saints team that's kind of dealing with it, I guess just what is their mindset kind of since you've been there before and kind of dealing with everything? Yeah,
without a doubt, whenever you get the interim coach, you always get that jolt of, new energy, new fresh energy. So they're going to come out with their best effort. And I'm only speaking on the position that I was in. We was 0-5 when Raheem was named the interim coach for us. We came out, we beat Minnesota, and it just felt like a breath of fresh air for us at the time, and we was excited to just have a new fresh start within the season, be able to do something right then about it. So it can go either way, all we can do is prepare for what we've seen on film and not knowing exactly what they're going to do, how they want to attack it. We got to be the best of us and let the rest take care of itself. But that's why teams make changes, in the middle of the season to try to get a spark, and that's what it's all about.
Do you remember what Raheem's message was to the team at that time in that Vikings game?
Not necessarily. I mean, it was. I don't. I mean, Raheem always been the same Raheem. So you could imagine the fire that we felt from him in that time. The same fire we feel now. So definitely got us going. And we that deep in the season, so many different things going too. Just getting excited about a game, whether it's personnel, schemes that you've been practicing all year. You can't just erase everything that you've been doing since training camp and philosophies and stuff like that. So, but we were definitely excited to play for him that game. I mean, I don't know exactly what he said or did, but he was just really himself.
When you talk about that jolt of energy, that's something that goes beyond film preparation or anything like that. How do you combat that on the other side?
I mean, let's talk about playing with intensity. At the end of the day, we got to control what we control. That's our energy, that's our effort. And in my mindset about playing NFL football, you get a chance to step out on the field, you need to be excited. So that's the expectation. To be able to play with energy, to be able to play with excitement, that should be the expectation. So it's not something that you should combat. It's not even the energy to go match. When you go play, we need to be fired up. We need to be intense. We need to be, because this game is played with passion when it's done the right way. And that's the key to any good team. You know what I'm saying? The guys are excited to play. They play hard. They play with great effort, and you can see the difference on tape when you're playing with the right intensity. So it's not even a matter of making sure we go match in intensity or making sure we up because they're gonna be up. They gotta know we don't do what we do. And at the end of the day, whoever lined up across from us and whatever scheme they got, that's what they gotta do, and we're gonna do what we gotta do.
Yeah, Grady, the Saints got a strong running game with backs like Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill. How do you guys approach stopping a dynamic backfield while keeping pressure on the quarterback?
Yeah, man. Those two guys you mentioned, Kamara, Hill, they've been giving us problems for some years, man, and definitely you gotta always give them their due respect, man. They always gonna show up to work. Those guys are elite competitors and leaders for their teams, and the reason that they have league-wide respect at their position, and Taysom at whatever position he gonna be a factor. And so you definitely got to account for them, whatever they may be, however they may create ways to get them the ball. But you can't like you mentioned, you can't let that try to slow down the pass rush. But it runs through those guys, man, without a doubt. And like it has been, and then they've earned that trust and respect from their peers and coaches and stuff like that to be able to put them in position to win. So we got to be ready for them.
Hey, speaking of guys playing with enthusiasm and passion, what do you take from a kid like D'Angelo Malone who had to earn his way onto the field through special teams and got out there and did a little work last week before he got?
Yeah, man, so happy for D-Lo, man. He got an opt to go rush and play some defensive snap with us. I mean, he's a guy who just owned his role. Always, I think he always wanted a bigger role, but he never complained. show up to work every day, grinding since he got here, and just working to get better and better. And he's going to continue to get better and continue to try to put himself in position to get more turns on defense. But this game is all hands on deck. You make the roster, you got to be able to contribute to some way, somehow. He's been a core special team player for us and been one of the more dominant ones in the entire league. And I see it's something that I definitely take pride in. But say if he didn't have that right mindset, he's just like, I just want to play defense. I just want to play defensive end. They're doing me wrong. They just let me do. Then he might not be in the position to be able to put the work in to be able to get his op. So sometimes things don't go your way, but if you find a way to be a contributor, in the long run, it definitely can work out for you, and it's working out for him. He always got a positive attitude, super hard worker, and I'm excited to see his growth continue.
Hey, just looking back over the course of the season, how has the pass protection evolved for you guys?
It's been really good. Obviously, we started off the season against arguably the toughest pass rush you can play in the league with those two edge players, the interior players that they have with the Steelers. And, you look back at that game and that doesn't feel like us really at all. But those guys have done a great job. There's some new pass protection schemes that we're asking those guys to do, dating back to the spring, that has, like everything, just takes a little bit of time to work through. But in the known passing situations, the third down, some of the second down and longers, those guys is strain, and blocking for a quarterback that is typically in the pocket is always the hardest thing for an offensive line. But the thing with Kirk is exactly, typically where he's going to be. So those guys have figured out where to strain to, where Kirk can find that soft spot in the pocket. And they've done an unbelievable job. I mean, they're the reason we are where we are in terms of, being able to be efficient throwing the football. So those guys bring it every single week. We know they love running the football. It's been their pass, but adding the extra, pass protection to, drop back pass protection to their arsenal has been awesome. So those guys get better every single week, and they're all just been super steady the whole season long.
What's been the key to firming the interior of the pocket? And then have you all had to – McGarry had struggled in the past against elite speed rushers, but it looked like he's doing fine now.
Caleb's been playing great. He's played great, really dating back to the spring and in training camp. I mean, Coach Ledford obviously has coached him a long time, and I remember 2 weeks into the training camp, he's like, "This is the best Caleb's ever looked," and it's just carried over through the season. And so he's been great pass protection wise. The interior of the pocket, like you're saying, is obviously the most important thing with any quarterback, but especially, our guy. And so, pass protection schemes, making sure that we are firm there. But then those guys with the way Bergeron's played, the way Newsel stepped in, kind of anchoring down in the middle there. And then Lindstrom's been great just in every facet, like you guys have seen for a long time. So those guys have done a great job, man, and just can't say enough about them.
Zach, you mentioned that week one game against the Steelers, and that's your first regular season game as a play caller, and you're playing that defense. What's going through your head after that game? And obviously things have changed rapidly since then. But are you having doubts? Are you like everyone is not T.J. Watt, but
Yeah, no, it was a tough ride home. I'll tell you that. Knowing what we left out on the field and just the feeling that it had after that game. Knowing it could have been so much cleaner from my part, from everything that went into it. So, of course, you leave that sick about any loss that you have. But that one especially was tough. But we have definitely evolved. We evolved really the next week, when you looked at Philly and how we kind of attacked that game plan. It's just all kind of grown from really week 2 and on. So you can sometimes get some false tells in training camp, with some things. You're playing the same defense over and over. So you think you have a pretty good feel for some of the things you want to activate, and then, you got to adjust every single week to the defense you're playing. And so definitely I think we've all gotten a lot better from then, and knowing that just repetition is the mother learning for me, for all the guys. And so the more that they've gotten together and the chemistry that keeps on growing with those guys has been really cool to see over the course of the season.
Do you have any conversations after that, maybe on the way home or otherwise, with someone who said, this is not going to always be, this is going to,
Yeah, I think there's coaches, and you talk to whether you win, you lose, you're having conversations with guys around the league that you stay close with, and they're asking you questions. Hey, what were you guys doing on this? I thought, so that's no matter if you win or lose. But obviously, had some conversations with guys that say, hey man, you guys had a good plan, stick to it, trust your process, trust all those things. And so, that always helps, and that goes for any coach out there. There's you always have your friends in this business, knowing like how hard it is, and so anytime you can reach out or have people reach out is pretty cool.
Is there anything you learned from that game, or at least maybe in the last 9 weeks or so, the biggest thing you've learned?
Man, a lot. It feels like that was, like we've said it multiple times, that feels like it was 2 years ago. But there's been so many things that have transpired, since then. It's hard to pinpoint one thing.
Talking about the evolution of your offense, and y'all did it pretty quickly, but I wonder, as you in the preseason, how much of that are you planning out? Because you can't sort of be static for 17 games. Are you going into it saying, we're going to go from here, and then we're going to try to get to here, and then we're going to do that, or do you have to do that more on the fly?
Yeah, there was some on the fly. We had a good feeling for our 12 personnel grouping and some of the things that we were activating in training camp and dating back to even the reason why we signed Charlie Warner. And then you play that first game of the season against the Steelers, and you realize how good of a player Ray McLeod is. And you're saying, okay, how can we get Ray as another passing threat on the field at all times? We have a quarterback that can dish it around to anybody. So that was one of the bigger takeaways. We knew we felt good about Ray and his ability, but then after seeing the way he played in that moment, you're saying, man, we can't keep this guy off the field if we want to have all the pass threats at our disposal each down. So that's where it started. Like, we're saying you kind of have that plan in training camp. Here's how we think it's going to go, but then there's so many things that you adjust on the fly. It's us learning our personnel. You have a feel for them throughout camp, but until you really see, a new offense and what it looks like in a game atmosphere, those things can change pretty quickly. So there's definitely been a lot of evolution, things that we're lining up formationally that if we would have said in August, hey, this is how we're calling this play now, or we're lining up, and people have been looking at you like, what are you talking about? So there's all, that's part of our job as coaches, to make sure we're trying to stay ahead on things. And luckily we have smart players that we're able to adjust and adapt on the fly.
On the flip side now, things are going really well, but how do you balance, okay, this is working for us, versus trying to think ahead to the way people are going to react to that, and how you might have to change?
Yeah, it's always evolving. You have your core philosophies and your staple concepts, and then you're just trying to get to those in different ways that you can, to where you're not lining up the same each time, writing a memo to the defense. These defensive coaches and players are so good that they're watching the tape too, just like we are. And so even last week with playing Dallas, they lined up completely different than what we were anticipating going into that game. So there was some adjustments in game that we had to make, both run and pass game. So it goes both ways with it. You got to make sure you're protecting your cuts for your receivers. If you're putting this cut by this receiver, over and over, DBs are watching that saying, hey, every time this guy's running this in this location, I got a, pretty good idea of what's coming. So it's always keeping up with your offense first and foremost, and then obviously, what the scheme you're going against after that.
Zac, you talked about kind of implementing a new scheme for the pass protection earlier this offseason. When did you first start to see that the line was really comfortable picking that up and starting to kind of play in the fashion that you wanted?
Yeah, I think it wasn't a huge overhaul with it. It was just kind of some identification things from what they had done in the past, and it was pretty quick once everybody got on the same page with it. To say, you don't get a ton of great reps in the spring because it is so much, we try to go full speed, but as we know, it's not a full speed, mindset in the OTA. So really throughout camp is probably when it started to gel and you could see it pick up. But those guys have just done a great job with the calls. The communication up front's been really good. It can be always a little bit cleaner, but it really has kind of taken life of its own.
And with the in-game adjustments that you're just talking about, do you have specific things you'd like the players to communicate back to you on game day, or do you take all the information that you can get from them?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a good balance of it. We have such smart guys, a Darnell Mooney or a Drake London. If I see those guys at halftime, or they've mentioned something to Ike on the headset, hey, take a look at this, and then we talk about it at halftime, make an adjustment. There was a couple routes within the Tampa Bay game at halftime, the first time we played them, that made an adjustment and ended up showing up 3 plays into the half. So you want to listen to your players. Those are the guys out there, playing. We're trying to stay ahead of it and making sure that we're seeing it, but those guys are the ones playing, and they're knowing exactly the techniques that they're seeing.
At what point in the season did you start to feel more comfortable calling the plays with this group that you have? Because in the preseason, you really didn't have a chance to work with them. So, at what point was it? Week 2, week 4, or even now? Do you feel like?
Yeah, I think we got a pretty good feel in spurts of the Pittsburgh game, as it didn't go as we would hope. There was definitely spurts of it where you felt kind of a decent rhythm to it. But week 2, Philly was where it all kind of clicked. Run and pass game, we've mixed up, our play passes and screens and all those things that came with it. So I think week 2 after that, it really just started taking off.
In terms of getting more comfortable on 4th down, what's that process been like for you in calling those plays? And then what goes into all the preparation from like Kirk and you and just everyone being on the same page to be clicking as well and doing as well on 4th down?
Yeah, obviously Raheem has been very aggressive in those situations, and as soon as a 3rd down ends, Tim Burbanick, our game management guy, who's in my ear, giving down and distance and all those things that come with it. We're communicating, and typically Rob's like, go, go, go. And so at that time, you're taking a look at the defense. Sometimes in those moments, we've been choosing tempo, which has worked to our advantage, where we've jumped the ball and try to get them into a regulated call. And then other times we've huddled up like we did last week. We tried to jump the ball and go tempo, force a timeout from Dallas, and then we were able to huddle up and all get on the same page. So the preparation leading up to the games is what it's all about. You kind of have your 3rd downs and you have your gotta have it 4th down plays kind of ready to roll that you talk about with guys. And then sometimes there's plays off the cuff that you're not planning on calling those situations, but based on what you're seeing, you're calling. So it's definitely been an awesome balance, knowing that how aggressive we've been. Everybody knows, hey, if it gets to a 4th down and manageable, we're going for it, and those guys love it.
Sticking with the pass protection theme today, how have you seen Bijan Robinson evolve in pass pro?
He's been really good. He's first of all, just identifying where he's supposed to go to. I mean, there's a lot on running backs these days, because blitzes are coming from all over. We've seen, obviously, Tampa Bay and some of these teams, the Chiefs, some of these high pressure teams that you got to be very disciplined with your eyes. He's been great in that standpoint, and then closing the space. And, people forget how stout of a player he is. He's so slippery with the ball in his hands, but he is also very firm and stout in pass protection. Obviously, he's willing, not afraid of anything, not afraid of contact. So all those things combined to him taking, huge steps. Any rookie running back coming in, it's always hard, pass protection-wise, just because the looks are so much more challenging. But he continues to get better in that aspect of his game, and really every other one as well.
Probably pretty obvious almost immediately that Bijan is different as a running back, but when did you realize you really could unlock a different level of his game?
Gosh, that's a great question. I mean, he does something pretty special on the field every single day, every single time he's out there, every time he touches it. But you really started to see, Philly, he was seeing it really well that game. So I think ever since, I know we keep talking about the Philly game, but it does seem like that was kind of when he started clicking as well, and just taking steps. Obviously, we're treating him as a running back, and he's getting his catches just within the flow of the offense, which has worked out for him. So as much as he can touch the ball, we're definitely going to try to do that.
Anything else?
Team was talking about the walkthrough and how he kind of took that from player performance stuff in LA. Like, how have you seen, specifically with player performance stuff, translate from LA to here?
No, it's really cool. Those guys have all the science behind it. We kind of just fall in line and say, okay, that's what we're doing today. But seeing how that worked in LA and how fresh guys could be on Sundays, dating back to my first year in 2019, I didn't know that it was allowed to not practice on a Wednesday. I thought you just had to be smashing heads, all the time. So to see the work that you can get done in those walkthrough settings is cool. It's just teaching on the grass, which is what, obviously everybody's much better once you can slow it down, walk through it, as opposed to, me sitting up there in an install meeting with a picture. And it's a tough way to learn. So those are basically meetings on the grass. We're able to talk through a bunch of different looks. Sometimes those Thursday night games, when you have less practice time but more walkthrough time, are some of your crisper games, just because you get to walk through so many different scenarios, knowing that if you do practice, you only get a handful of those reps. So it's pretty cool. I know Griff does a great job with handling all that stuff, but it's definitely beneficial. I know the players love it. They're going to be out of here in like an hour on a Wednesday, which is unbelievable, but it's definitely a good thing for everybody.
Aside from you having so many options to work with as a play caller, why is this offense fun for you?
I think it's just the guys. We have such a great team. We have such great leadership from the top, obviously starting with Raheem, and then filtering down to the players. Raheem says all the time it's a player-led team. Kirk Cousins, some of these veterans, Jake Matthews, the Chris Lindstroms, all they want is just the best from themselves and the best out of others, and they just bring everybody along with them. So it's cool. We got a bunch of unselfish guys. Everybody just wants to win. That's the most important thing about really any football team or any offense that wants to be efficient. If you have a bunch of unselfish guys that are willing to do whatever it takes, and they're smart, they're tough, they love it, good things can happen. And that's exactly what we have with these guys.
Yeah. Coach, real quick, the second quarter, the Ray and Hodge double screen that freed up Mooney for that 36-yard touchdown pass. Is there something in particular that you saw that prompted that play call, or was it just hey, let's see if it works?
Yes, there was. Yeah, no, that's where the film study throughout the week, you try to get a tip and tell on some things, how they play different things. Certainly they can make adjustments and play something different than what you anticipate, but it was a great job by those guys executing. Obviously Kirk being able to throw that off a drift to Darnell, but Ray, Red, and Mooney, all their execution as well as the pass protection and Kirk making the throw is what made it all happen.
Looking forward to if you're able to get back out there this week.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to playing some football again. It's exciting.
Coach Raheem said you were really close last week. What was that process like when they, you put in the work and it's like, Chris
I know, yeah, exactly. It's you're itching to play, but you got to go through the process and then make sure everything's right and good and. We're there, so I'm excited to get back out there.
How do you feel?
Feel good. Yep, ready to go.
What have you noticed about what Caden Ellis has been able to do?
Oh, Caden's a stud. Just dynamic in everything he does. Pass rush, run game, pass. Everything he does well.
Hey, how was it? I know you wasn't playing, but what did it look like to see your guys? Get some quarterbacks on the ground and hit some of them.
Yeah, we've been making emphasis of that at practice. Practice habits become game day realities, what we've been saying. And finally get a couple sacks come to fruition is exciting and try to keep it going moving forward.
What's unique about what the linebackers are asked to do in this defense?
Man, I think Jimmy allows us to be free, go be ourselves, go be playmakers. Try to change the game from the linebacker position is tough, but Jimmy does a great job of allowing us to go play fast and play hard and do our job.
What do you like about that?
Yeah, I think it's fun. It's freeing when they trust you to go out there. Anytime you step on the field, coaches are putting their faith in you and to go out there and perform well and execute. It's fun, exciting.
In the old days, if you didn't practice on Wednesday and Thursday, you didn't play in the game. But now they've got a new thing that they call walkthrough Wednesdays. You think that's going to help the team out over the long period?
I think it's just dialing in mentally. There's a lot of guys on the team that have taken a lot of snaps. Mm-hmm. And the mental side of the game is so important. You can get a lot done just thinking through things and not necessarily hitting and whatnot. I think it's beneficial.
So there was no Oklahoma drill today?
No Oklahoma drill. Nope.
Raheem said that it was, based on player performance and getting guys to be fresh. And I'm just curious for you, as you're, last year with the injury and as you're battling this year, what have you learned about player performance and recovery and things of that sort?
Yeah, you got to stay on top of it. It's a long season. You're going to get a few bumps and bruises, and trying to stay ahead of it as best as possible. It's extremely important because the season is long.
Mentally, how do you go through that? I'm sure it's frustrating as you're trying to get back, but you're not there yet.
Yeah, you just stay the course. Do everything you can, whether it be in the building or outside of the building. Getting with people that can help you get back on the field or stay on the field and perform to the highest level is important.
I know it was annoying. Go ahead, Allison.
What checkpoints do you have left that you feel like you need to meet in order to be able to play?
Well, we're gonna put pads on tomorrow, so it's excited to get out there and hit a little bit and but we're ready and excited to get back out there.
A chance we see you Sunday?
Yeah, for sure.
I know
Excited about it.
I'm sorry. I know it was annoying to you the first time that you had to sit and watch from the sideline. When you're sidelined again, what did you learn that first time around that's kind of helped you this time to be a little less anxious about trying to get back out there?
Man, I guess this time I knew it wasn't for the whole extended period of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, just staying engaged in meetings and, still preparing like you're going to play. Yeah, it's a cliche, I guess, that everybody says, but it rings true. Yeah, just trying to do that.
Is there anything like maybe you thought you take for granted when you're able to play that like you actually really miss when you're not playing?
Yeah, I mean, just the game day atmosphere, being like you're there, but it's just a different energy. Driving to the stadium, walking in, lots of things aren't as fun when you're not playing.
Going back to Caden for a second, he's such a quiet guy that shows up so much on the defense. What do you feel like he does really well that goes under the radar?
Man, I think he is that calming force, like you said. Things can happen fast in an NFL football game, and for him to be, calling the defense and leading us out there with that, kind of never riding the roller coaster, not getting too high, not getting too low. And just kind of always being there and be able to rely on him and count on him to do his job. It's extremely beneficial.
I think we just made an emphasis with you. That's one of the aspects that we had to get better at moving forward. So just a good building block, and hopefully we're able to keep that going and even get better at it.
Do you feel like that can help the confidence? Obviously, the confidence is always high, but just that you can actually.
Yeah, definitely. It's a huge momentum swing for the defense, the team as a whole. So every time we're able to bring the quarterback down, kind of help the team accomplish the goal that we have.
Raheem talked about the different rotations with this one in particular. When did you guys learn about the change up with the rotations?
In terms of
like getting more guys in, D'Angelo, all that?
Just goes back to wanting to have fresh guys on the field at all times. So making sure, we talked about it, just we want everybody to play fast, play as hard as we possibly can. So the more guys we can have and have guys going in and out, it kind of helped the overall scheme of the defense.
Do you guys notice, obviously you guys have been a part of a team that also have had interim coaches here. So do you feel any difference when you're facing against a team that has an interim head coach, like the sense of urgency to win, the change of energy and things like that?
I think whatever they have going on really don't apply to what we got going on. At the end of the day, we still going to have our game plan. We have a mission ahead, so we're just trying to go out there and execute, which is a thing every week, and just play our best football.
Okay, where do you feel like you've evolved the most in your game since your time here?
I think just doing a little bit of everything. Pass rusher, run stopper. I think I've got better playing around a lot this year, just trying to be a complete player as much as I possibly can.
When you go back and watch the film on Sunday, I know you told me after the game that there was more to go get for you guys. Grady said the same thing. What do you feel like you guys left out there that you want to try to capitalize on?
I think we have, 3 sacks as a defense. Kind of watching the film, you can tell could have been a 7-sack game, so just trying to capitalize as much as possible out there. So just those little things might be bringing the quarterback down or winning some more pass rush. At this point of the season, I think we're trying to be gritty and trying to take everything we possibly can on the field.
At this point in the season, how nice does it feel or refreshing is it to have kind of a walkthrough practice on a Wednesday and not have to go through the daily grind?
It feels good that time of the year. A lot of people be banged up, trying to get your body back to normal as close as you possibly can. So it feels good, just ready to come back tomorrow and kind of put the pads on and bring the physical aspect to it.
Have you noticed Kirk him growing his beard out? Have you said anything to him? You've got a nice one too.
I
told us about it?
I have not, but now that you said so, I'll take a look at it. It won't be as nice as mine.